Hey friends, welcome to my channel. Today is the third round for the Creative Champion. This week the girls were tasked to make spring trash to treasure DIYs. You will be seeing two projects from each girl. Last week we said goodbye to Alli and Savannah. We were so sad to see them go. And now we're going to be moving on to our first contestant, which is Christi from Christi Creates.
We're going to start with this adorable little bread box that I found at the thrift store, and we're also going to take this other piece, which I'm not sure what it was made for, but it has two little drawers in it, and we are going to utilize those to stack on top of our bread box. Here it is. Once I got it all sanded down, I took it out to the garage to do that, and it dust flies everywhere. So we're going to take our wood glue, and we're going to put a bunch on the bottom of each of those drawers, and they fit in perfectly, like exactly the right size. And then I went back and I put a little bit of glue in between the two boxes just so they would stick together really well. And now I'm putting some more of the wood glue down because we are going to take some 15mm half wood beads, and we're going to put them all around where the edges are from the drawers and on the front of the bread box door. And this is kind of a personal preference thing, so if you didn't like as many as I put on there, you don't have to use as many. And that's what's perfect about DIYing and creating, is you do what makes your eyes happy. Another awesome thing about creating is I'm going to take this bread box and I'm going to make it into an awesome storage piece for my craft room. I'm going to paint it this blue color. I do end up going over it with a different blue. I wanted it a little bit lighter, so paint it whatever color will match your decor, and you can end up using this for craft supplies. You can end up using it as a bread box, and you could even use it for makeup. I mean, whatever floats your boat, you do that. So now that I've put that different color on, I'm going to go in with some Waverly chalk paint in white and that little stencil brush that's from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to distress it. And once I get it distressed, I'm going to put a decal on that I cut out with my Cricut, and that is it. Super cute and super simple. I found these two trays and these two candle stands at the thrift store, and we are going to turn them into a tier tray. So first off, I'm going to take some popsicle sticks and I'm going to cut them down in all different lengths, and I'm going to stagger it like you would if you were laying like hardwood flooring. You don't want any of the seams to line up, so just make sure that you cut different lengths so that none of those lines go straight across. And then I'm going to I used the E6000 quick hold and some hot glue. You could use wood glue, you know, any kind of glue that you have would probably work. And hot glue probably would have been secure enough, but you know me, I'm a little extra, so we always got to do more than we should. And I just keep laying, and I did it on both of these trays, and then I also took a tray from Dollar Tree, one of those small little ones, and I used it too. Here I'm wiping down my candlesticks with alcohol wipes so that they can be prepped for painting. And now I'm going to take some ink chalk paint by Waverly, and I'm going to coat all of my trays and my candle stands. You could also take them outside and spray paint them if you wanted. Now I'm taking Mineral, and that is also Waverly chalk paint, and I'm going to go in and distress all of my trays and my candle stands. And this is kind of a personal preference thing. You would not have had to do this step, but you know me, I love a little farmhouse and a little distressing. It always just kind of zhuzhes it up a little. I am going down each of those little seams where the popsicle sticks met, and then I'm also kind of distressing on the end of each popsicle stick as well. Then I'm going to go around all edges of the trays. And I don't think I've shown you the Dollar Tree tray yet, but you will see it here in just a minute. It's just one of the small ones that you can find there. Here I'm going to kind of dab off my little brush, and I'm going to distress the candlesticks. And like I said, it was just a pretty light distressing, just till my eyes were happy. And I'm going to speed this up so you don't have to watch it in slow motion. And you guys, I end up loving this. I was a little unsure when I first started, but the farther I went, I was like, I'm really liking it. And when I get done, oh, I cannot wait to put this in my home. Now I'm taking 4 large wood beads, and those are going to end up being the feet of my tier tray. I just kind of wanted to elevate it a little. And I'm going to go in and distress those just a little bit as well. Now I'm going to take some of my Total Tech, it's from the original super glue, and some hot glue. Just use whatever glue you prefer. And I'm going to glue the feet on. And we are going to put some glue on the candle stands. And I just kind of alternate a few different kinds of glue because I wanted to make sure that it was going to stay, because I will probably keep this piece forever. I liked it that much. And we're going to get them all glued down. And that is it. Super simple. And, you know, relatively quick besides the popsicle stick part. Let me know what you guys think.
Now remember, friends, there is a hop that starts right at 1:30, right after my video is done airing. Don't forget to go and vote. It's really easy. There's a link down below in my description box, and you will be able to see the projects of today's video over there on my blog post. Simply click the link and be able to vote for the one person you would like to see move on. Up next in the contest is the Crafting Cousins. Let's see their 2 Trash to Treasure flips.
Hey y'all, it's Trish and Kay from Crafting Cousins. Today we're going to show you how to make this adorable planter from thrifted items. So grab some supplies and let's craft, y'all. I'm going to be using this small drawer that I got from my local thrift store. I cleaned it up and took the contact paper out of the bottom. And now I'm just going to remove the hardware on the side that slides it into the cabinet by removing the screws. Now I'm going to give my drawer a good coat of paint. I'm using Waverly white chalk paint, but I do end up changing in a little while to Rust-Oleum white chalk paint because I ran out and I didn't want to have to run to town. I did give this piece a thorough coating. I made sure that I did all the inside and the outside because you are going to be able to see all of this. Now I'm going to take 4 spindles that I also picked up from the thrift store, and I'm going to give them a good coat of paint as well. You see now I have changed over to my Rust-Oleum white chalk paint, and I still prefer Waverly over Rust-Oleum. That's just me. I am giving these a coat of paint while they are still long, and I actually put my box together with these being long as well because I thought I wanted it to be tall, but because my box is so narrow, these being so tall made it wobbly. So I do end up going back at the very end and cutting these down to 16 inches. Now, I'm telling you this because if you're wanting to cut yours down and make it shorter to the ground, you should do this before you paint them and put them on your box. It is not easy cutting these down once they're attached to your box. Now that everything's dry, I'm just going to take a piece of sandpaper and go over those edges and give it a good distressing. I want to add 2 sayings to my box. I'm going to put a different one on each side. And my favorite way of doing this is to print the saying out from the computer and use some carbon paper. I center up my paper on the side of my drawer and tape it down. Then I just slide my carbon paper underneath it and trace over the letters with my pencil, and this transfer them to my project. This is one of my favorite ways. You guys see me do this all the time. Now I'm just going to use a permanent marker to fill in my words. I like the markers from the Dollar Tree. These are the Jot markers. They actually flow better than the Sharpies. Once I finish the plant dreams, pull weeds, and grow a happy life, I flip it over and put where flowers bloom, so does hope. Now we're going to add the legs to our drawer. I did have to grab my husband for this because I found out quickly that you cannot screw these legs onto this drawer and hold it at the same time. It just did not work for me. So we are going to put 1 in each corner. You can see that I actually marked in my drawer where it needed to go. And now we're going to take some of this tile that I also picked up from the thrift store, and we're going to cut it down to size to go in the bottom of this. I love this tile, and it was only $2 for that whole sheet. I'm going to put down a good coat of wood glue, and then I put my tile right back in there and leave it to dry. Today we're going to show you how to make this beautiful home decor from thrifted items. So grab some supplies and let's craft, y'all. We found this cabinet door at the local thrift store and we really loved all the detail it had, so we decided to use it for one of our projects. I'm removing the hardware from it. We don't need the hinges, but we will save this handle to use for decoration. Now I'm going to give it a good coat of paint. I'm using Waverly white chalk paint. I love chalk paint. And I am painting the whole thing, front and back. I don't like having unfinished surfaces, so I always paint my backs. Now I'm going to take some of this Waverly Ballet Slipper Pink chalk paint and I'm going to mix it with this Creme Coat Think Pink acrylic paint. I love both colors, but for this project I wanted to mix them together to get the color that I really wanted. Now I'm taking a large chippy brush and I'm just going over my surface with a pretty heavy hand. I want this to look really old and weathered. I'm going to use this metal sconce that I got from the thrift store and attach it to the front of my door for decoration. I knew the best way to do this was to wire it on, so I laid it where I wanted it and then I used a pencil to mark my holes, and now I'm just going to take my drill and drill right through my door. I do love this handle and hardware that came with this, but I don't like the color, so we're going to take it outside and spray paint it white. Once it's dry, I bring it back in and then I just attach it back to my door with the screws that came with it and my screwdriver. Now, I'm going to use this beautiful metal sconce that I found at the thrift store, but if you don't have one of these, you could always use a basket, or you could use one of these little crates like they sell at the Dollar Tree, or even one of these little tin containers that they sell at the Dollar Tree. Just punch some holes in it and go. I'm going to be using some of my floral wire. I take off a generous piece of it and then I thread it through those holes that I drilled into my door, making sure that I pull it tight. We'll thread it up through the holes of our sconce and then we're just going to twist it together as tight as we can, and this holds it in place. Now we're going to put some floral foam in here, and then I'm going to take some of these flowers that I got from the thrift store and decide which ones to use. I'm constantly picking up flowers from the thrift store. I will buy vases that have them in it. Sometimes you'll find them loose. I love getting them there because they're really cheap. So here I'm just cutting apart my florals, and then I just start sticking them into my floral foam. I am not a florist, y'all. I just kind of poke it in there until I like how it looks. Kay actually calls this poking posies. Now we're going to put a hanger on here. We're using a heavy-duty D-ring hanger. We mark where the holes are, drill a pilot hole, and then put our screws in.
For those interested in applying for the next season of the Creative Champion, it will be taking place in May 2021. We are accepting applications with YouTubers in the subscriber amount of 35,000 to 55,000. Anyone who has a subscriber amount of that number may apply for the contest, and this is what you will need to do to apply. Send an email to my email address linked down below in my description box. Share 5 project images of things that you have created using any craft supplies. Share your favorite video link in that email. Title the email The Creative Champion May Season, and make sure you list your subscriber amount in the email. The reason why we have created a subscriber amount is to make sure that the competition is fair and you are competing with contestants who are in similar numbers so that one larger channel can't cream a smaller channel. There will be a team of judges that will be going through all the emails and selecting the next 10 contestants. You have until April 2nd to apply for the contest, and all the contestants that will be moving on in the contest for May will be announced on the 9th of April. The third contestant for today is Annalee from Annalee Ashby. Let's see her 2 projects and what she has created.
So for this first project, we are going to be using this little gem straight out of the 90s. When I saw this just completely reminded me of my childhood, and so I wanted to recreate it into a beautiful little planter. So the first thing we did is we, of course, disassembled it. We just took it apart, everything, because I wanted to get it all broken down so that I could get it sanded and get all of that really dark navy paint off of it. And so we're going to get it all sanded. I actually don't show you guys all of this because we don't have a lot of time to show you that, but we just get everything sanded and get all of that paint off the best that we can. Once that's done, then it is time for a good layer of chalk paint. So we're going to be using some Waverly chalk paint in the color Plaster, and I am going to give everything a really good coat. Most of it's going to be white, but here in just a little bit you will see that we are going to paint the back of this black. We are going for a little farmhouse planter look. You guys, I love farmhouse. It is an actual style that I love to decorate with and put into my home. And we just got pigs. And so we are definitely working on growing our little farm. So I figured I need some fun farmhouse decor. So I get the base of this painted black. I did tape off the edges, as you can see, just to kind of protect that white part, or the lighter part. And then I went ahead and I gave this a really heavy-handed distressing with the black. This is Waverly black paint in the color Ink. And then just using some vinyl decals, I went ahead and I cut these out. These will say Farm, Sweet Farm. And I went ahead and I just got these put on to each one of the little pieces of wood. What are these? These little cute slabs. And then I did end up putting some vinyl right up here at the top of this as well. Then I went ahead and I pushed the bases of these back in because I do want to put some foam in there. So I went ahead and I just left them as is. I did try to hide them a little bit because this, for being such an old piece, is actually, it's not a very even piece. Like, it's not symmetrical on either side. I didn't realize that when I bought it. So I just kind of just worked with it a little bit to kind of make it work. And it ended up being just fine, but I did hide them a little bit because they were crooked. Then I went and I put the nails back in because I really liked how the nails looked in it. I liked the rustic look that it gave it. These are the exact same nails that were in it when I first pulled it apart. I just put the nails back in. It worked out really nice. Using this foam right here, you can see I just went ahead and I glued that down into the bottom so that we can put some greenery in it. So I do have a little cotton stem right there for a minute. I put it in there to kind of see if I liked it, felt it out a little bit, and decided that I didn't like it. I didn't end up using any of the cotton. I just did greenery from Hobby Lobby. And then some buffalo check ribbon. I went ahead and I cut 3 pieces to kind of make a little crisscross back bow right here. And I tied the middle together. And then I just tied a little jute twine bow. And I glued this on at the very bottom right there. And this project was done. Okay, for this one, I was actually really excited when I found this piece. You guys, look at those. Look at those letters. Look at the geese. Everything about it. Like, straight out of the 90s. I'm telling you, this is my childhood right here. Also, the glue that was used to secure these was, like, we have got to band together and find this person who made this and basically question her and find out what glue she used, because it literally splintered the wood before it, like, came off. It was insane. But don't worry, we're getting it all sanded. It'll buff, no big deal. It all looks good. I get it all sanded off completely. Like, it took a little bit of elbow work, but it worked out. And then I went ahead and I gave it a layer of stain in the color Jacobian. I love this like slat sign look, you guys. I love like the shiplap look. And then these 2 decorative pieces on top. I just thought this was a really pretty sign, and I don't feel like you see the shape of these signs anymore. So I was really excited. I am giving it some dry brushing with some white. I end up going a little bit heavy-handed in here, just a little bit, but I do sand just a little bit off in some of the areas where it's really heavy. And then using this little metal piece, I got this from the Dollar Tree. I went ahead and I just removed the jute twine hanger from that. And then using a vinyl decal, I just went ahead and put this onto the metal. It actually didn't go on super smooth, so you guys don't see me peel this off because I really struggled to get this off. But once it was on there, it was so worth it because it looks amazing. See, that looks so good, right? And then, of course, because we're distressing everything, I went ahead and I went around the edge of this sign with some black Waverly chalk paint. And then I wanted this sign to pop off just a little bit right here. So using some of these tumbling tower blocks that you can get from the Dollar Tree, I glued these in the middle so that you couldn't see them. So they are very close together, but I wanted it to lift the sign up off of the middle part of this. And then I went ahead and just using some hot glue, I glued my metal sign on into the center of the sign the best that I could center it. I just eyeballed it. And then using some of this lamb's ear that you can get from Walmart, I trimmed it down just a little bit so that it wasn't quite so poofy and it laid kind of flat. And I'm doing a little swag here. I think it's called a swag. But we're going to do some lamb's ear on both sides. So using some jute twine, I just use some hot glue and glue this down, wrap it around, and then glue this onto the bottom of the sign. And then I end up bending the wire stems up just a little bit. So you can see it kind of makes like almost like a crescent moon. And then using some white floral just from the Dollar Tree, I glued some of this down too just to kind of go with the really pretty farmhouse look. And then there's that cotton piece that we didn't use before. I went ahead and I put that down in the middle, and then there was a little bit of an open area, so I put some jute twine to just kind of close that and make it look more complete.
And the last contestant to share today is Antoinette from Simple Yet Chic. Let's see what she has created for us today.
Hi friends, today I am so excited to share with you guys how I flipped these thrifted finds to this gorgeous mirror. I love shopping at our local Goodwill only when it's half off day, so I scored everything for super cheap. And as you can see, this basket was $5, but I only paid half price. I really loved this basket and the style around it, so I thought to take it apart and make a wall art. And then I found this plate art. I really loved the rounded wood frame around it, so I thought to make a mirror. I didn't find any mirror size at Goodwill, but I thought to use one of the Dollar Tree mirror, the large size, and I am only gonna use the mirror. It is smaller than the frame, but that's okay. I will find a way to fit it in. So at first I went ahead and removed the handle of the basket. Then I removed all these arches around the basket. It took me some time to do that. And once I finished doing that, I went ahead and cleaned them all. After that, I cut a round piece of cardboard. I just traced around the Dollar Tree mirror. I needed it to be smaller than the frame that will go on top. And once I had that ready, I started placing these arches around it. I played with it until I figured the best way to attach them around the cardboard. And as you can see, I used a lot of hot glue to keep them in place. And it took longer to finish that because I had to be patient, hold each piece until it sticks down. And once I finished the first round, I started with the second one. Again, I had to be super patient. I trimmed the ends a little bit, then I hot glued them under the ones on the first round. And once I finished the second round, here how it looked. Then I put it on the side and I started working on the mirror. So to fit the mirror inside, I took the original plate and traced around it on the cardboard. Then I cut it out. Then I hot glued it inside the wood frame. Then I placed the mirror on the top of it. And then to cover the empty space in between the mirror and the frame, I decided to add some of this rope around it. So I went ahead and hot glued the mirror first, then hot glue the rope around like you see me doing. Now it's time to hot glue the mirror frame on top right here. Then I decided to add few more sticks in between these arches to give it more character. Lastly, I decided to use some brown paint to cover some of the blue that was showing, and then I painted these ends that were showing from inside right here. Also, I dry brushed some brown paint on the frame as well to give it that matching look. For the second project, I flipped these Goodwill finds to this super cute framed planter. Again, everything I got was half off. This canvas I only paid $1. And these cute bottles, I had no idea what they were for or what they call them. I just loved the shape and the fact that they were clear glass. So at first, I removed all the staples from the back of the canvas. Then I used some acrylic brown paint and I mixed it with some cashmere paint to paint the whole frame. And once the frame was dry, I made 3 holes inside like this. Then I screwed these in there so I can hang my planters on. Then I cut some jute twine and I hot glue it around the neck of the bottles. And once I finished all 3, I hung them inside the frame. Then I added some greenery.
Now remember, friends, head over to the link down below my description box to be able to get to the voting so that you can cast your one vote for your favorite project. Each week we tally up the votes on a Sunday night. The girls are notified by Monday morning, and then we announce it to the public on Tuesday who will be moving on. The voting is 100% fair, and we always encourage everybody to go and vote for their favorite person to make sure you don't see them eliminated. Thank you so much to the women that have been in this contest. You are so talented. It's so hard to say goodbye to someone every single week. It has been such a treat to have you all with us. This week we will be losing 2 people, and next week will be only the last 2 standing for the prize of $500. So make sure you get out to vote for your favorite project and help your person you want to see get through to the championship and the prize. Thanks for stopping by, and until the next episode, bye friends.